Okay, good morning. Again, my name is Ingrid Huffman. I am the essence of all that is, ever has been, and can be. I am also consciousness and energy unfolding with the rest of the universe in what's happening next. So today we're going to pause a little bit and talk about the great law, the universal law. I'm at a place where I don't just accept something anymore because somebody told me. I bring it in and it resonates, but I want to know more. So I have found the more behind universal laws that is immutable. Where does this great law come from? Well, all of our ancestors, every single one of them, every single one of us had ancestors that were animistic, which meant they knew that there was spirit in everything, that everything was alive. They interacted with everything. And then the religion of polytheism came along, and the leaders of it pulled all the spirit out of everything and put it into these godheads that were off planet. Godheads of things, right? And then behind that came monotheism, who pulled the spirit out of those polytheistic gods and put it in one god way off planet. So we as humans are left with this condition of asking, is there a God? Well, science, this is where we come to it, has solved this problem, most nobly this question. Through scientific investigation, it's been found that there is a universal force, which can be termed eternal energy, primal energy, God, pervading the whole universe and filling infinite space. So these principles that we talk about, and let's talk about the scientific definition of the word principle. Principle is that which creates, constitutes, governs, sustains, and contains all. So what must principle do first? It must create, because it cannot handle anything before it has created the very thing it has to handle. So principle one that we talked about last week was mentation. So it has to create thought before words can be spoken, right? Then comes constitute. That is to assign to each phenomenon its proper place, which it will keep eternally. And then the next activity of principle is governing. It must bring forth out of itself its laws, changeless laws, by which it governs that which it has created and that which it has put in order or constituted. The next action after governing that principle must do is it sustains the very thing it created to make it eternal. And the fifth, it finally must contain within itself all its creation. So the great law that manifests itself in these 8 principles that we are talking about every week is all. It is unchangeable, immutable, and I think I said in the very first one, it's been hermetically sealed. Well, what was Hermes? He was in the age of polytheism, but he knew this. Hermes Trismegistus. And so, but we can't credit him with sealing it. It was sealed by the all, this God, this primal force energy that manifests itself in these principles that have actions that govern, first the creation, then the, what are they again? The creation, the constitution, the governance, and the sustenance, and the containment. It's kind of like the 5 phases, the 5 elements of the Chinese model. But that's not what we're musing about today. So let's get on to musing about principle number 2, which is, and these principles can be taken in any order. It doesn't matter which order they come in, but this is the order I'm going in. The principle number 2 of Great Law, God, Spirit, the Tao, the Veda, primal force energy, is that of, what's the word? The mirror effect. Correspondence. That's the word I was looking for. Most known by the statement, as above, so below. And most people don't follow it up with as within, so without. This is truly, truly, truly the law of attraction at work. So, an example of this. A couple weeks ago, I was working in my office. It was a rainy day, and I have this young red-bone coonhound that has joined us, and he is the most enthusiastic, incorrigible life force I've met for a long time. And he was bored, so he tore all my grid, every single cardboard box, empty cardboard box he could find in the house. And I have a place I stockpile them because they go to be recycled into Mother Earth. So he took all my grids. He wouldn't touch the round container. It's not a grid. A box, a rectangle, a square is a grid. He took them all and he destroyed them in my office, tore them to pieces, chewed them apart. And it was like, wow, my office is a mess. I couldn't even begin to pay bills because it was such chaos. And that same time, November 29, I went for a reading. What's the word again? The cards, a tarot reading with a local person. And he was allowing spirit to speak through him, his soul to speak, spirit to speak through him. And the first card he pulled was a wand with numerous wands. And he said, literally, this is how he said it, you have, and I can't get both my hands in, you have all this going on. And he demonstrated chaos. But understand that it's coming to an end. All these programs, all this stuff that you've activated, that you've got going on, is coming to an end. Well, so that was Friday, November 29. Saturday, November 30, I decided before I could even sit down and pay bills, I needed to clean my office. And the only way to clean my office was not to just pick up everything that Mr. Cooner had torn apart, but to totally shake it up and rearrange and get rid of stuff and that I hadn't been procrastinating on. So I started that. And by evening, I was so hungry I couldn't even think of what I wanted to cook. So I went to our local gas station. Plus I needed some dog food for the dogs. So I went there and I said, I want a burger with the works. And the owner goes down and he's like, and you didn't want cheese? And I said, well, jokingly, well, why weren't you in my mind to know that I meant cheeseburger when I said hamburger? And he kind of looked at me for a minute and then jokingly said, "It's too much of a damn mess in there. I didn't want to get in there." And laughed. And I laughed too and said, that was pretty good. That was a really good comeback. And it wasn't until I left that I realized this was a demonstration of the law of correspondence. All this chaos that Jaguar medicine had brought into my life that's coming to an end was so visible. He spoke it. And it wasn't I didn't take it as a disempowering or demeaning thing. It was funny. I thought it was a really funny response, but it was actually so true, because my office and my house was such a mess from my grid being torn apart. It feels much better now. And I know there's a lot of programs that have ended and are still ending. And this law of correspondence is this principle of correspondence is very much alive in my life, and I love it. I love aligning myself, my spirit, my soul, my innate knowing that I come from this, that it's reflecting in my life. And again, I had invited Julian. I don't know if he thought it was tomorrow or what, so maybe we'll be going live again tomorrow at 10 with Julian. But my name is Ingrid Huffman, Blue Heron Warrior Ingrid. I have been your host and guide on this exploration into the great law, universal law. I am energy and matter, or energy and consciousness, creating matter in the unfolding of evolution. I am the essence of all that is, ever has been, and can be. And I wish you all a most wonderful day.